What if the pain you feel isn't yours? What if the anxiety that keeps you awake at night, the guilt that weighs on your heart, or the heaviness in your chest didn't begin with you at all? What if what you are carrying are echoes, vibrations passed down through generations, unresolved grief, silenced truths, and hidden traumas that live inside your energy field as if they were your own? For centuries, this truth was hidden, a secret of healing so powerful it was kept from humanity until the time was right. Th discovered it long ago, and he knew that one day it would return, when people were ready to remember. And now it has found you, not by chance, not by accident. Your field pulled this wisdom into your awareness because you are ready. Th said, wisdom reveals itself only when the being is ready to remember. That means your vibration has already begun to shift. You are already awakening. You are already stepping into a deeper truth. Take a deep breath, because what you are about to hear is not just knowledge. It is an activation. This is not only explanation. It is remembrance. Stay with these words, because today you will remember a forgotten ritual, a technique that can dissolve pain you never chose to carry and break the invisible codes that have held you back for longer than you know. Pain does not start with you. Pain moves through you. Before your body ever hurt, before your mind ever carried confusion, before your heart ever felt heavy, the field was already loaded. You are the last layer of a long story of vibration. Th taught that no one becomes ill without reason. Every illness is an unconscious repetition of something that was never released. You are not broken. You are programmed. And that programming is ancient. Think about the struggles you know so well. The anxiety that rises without warning. The guilt that feels heavier than the mistakes you have made. The sleepless nights you cannot explain. These may not have been born within you. They may be echoes from generations before you. Someone 100 years ago who could not cry. Someone who could not scream. Someone who never healed. That pain, unspoken and unresolved, became part of the field. And because it was not released, it was passed forward, not only in words or behavior, but through vibration itself. Today, science calls this epigenetics, the study of how emotions and environment shape genes. Scientists like Bruce Lipton have shown that our cells respond more to emotional energy than to DNA itself. This means your life is not fully determined by your genetics. It is shaped by the invisible field around them. And your field has been carrying memories that were never yours. This is why a child can grow up in an environment of anger and carry tension in their body, even if no one ever touched them. This is why a woman may carry nodules in her throat, because the women in her lineage never spoke their truth. This is why a man may feel failure pressing on him, even if he is outwardly successful, because he has absorbed the unhealed shame of his father. These are not punishments. They are transmissions of vibration. Your body is not the enemy. It is the messenger. Pain is not betrayal. It is communication. Inflammation is a signal. Illness is the final echo of a vibration that was ignored for too long. Th said it simply. First it vibrates, then it shapes. First it emits, then it manifests. The body obeys the vibration. But this truth was lost. Medicine separated the body from the soul. Religion separated the sacred from the everyday. Science separated the visible from the invisible. And humanity forgot the unity. But Th saw no separation. He saw memory, body, energy, and consciousness woven as one. That is why he never treated the symptom alone. He treated the field. He went to the vibrational root. Because healing the body without healing the field is like drying the floor while the faucet is still running. Now it is your turn to learn how to release these inherited codes. Codes that were never truly yours, yet live inside you as if they belong. Codes passed down for generations, repeating until someone chooses to stop the cycle. And you are that someone. You are here because you are ready. Illness is not the beginning. It is the surface. The overflow of a vibration ignored for too long. Long before the body hurts, the field whispers. Anxiety is blocked energy in your chest. Back pain is ancestral guilt vibrating in your kidneys. Sleepless nights are thoughts not your own spinning in your mind. No one taught you to listen to these whispers, but Tej did. He said, everything visible is born from the invisible. All matter is vibration. All pain is a frequency unacknowledged. The body always gives warnings, not with words, but with sensations. Subtle pressure, a wave of sadness, a sudden urge to cry, a strange chill that comes and goes. If you pause, if you listen, if you allow, the energy reorganizes and the body does not need to collapse. But if you ignore it, bury it under work, numb it with food, drown it with distractions, the field short circuits. And when the field collapses, the body is forced to speak louder. That is when pain arrives. This is why treating the body alone is never enough. You can change your diet, take medicine, feel better for a while. But if the vibration is not released, the cycle returns. You know this, something heals, then comes back in another form, a different name, a different shape, but the same feeling. The field is still asking you to listen. Tej explained, the body is the altar, but what moves it is the invisible. Pain is a language. Every symptom is the field saying, listen. Yet most of the world no longer listens. We silence symptoms instead of hearing them. We erase discomfort instead of understanding it. And so the pattern repeats. When the field is disorganized, everything it creates, your thoughts, your emotions, your choices, your health, carries that disorganization. But here is the gift. The field can be read. The field can be translated. TH didn't just sense its signals. He left behind methods to decode them. Once you understand the language of the field, you no longer need illness to awaken you. You can listen earlier. You can release earlier. You can heal earlier. This is why positive affirmations and surface techniques often don't seem to work. It is not because you are failing. It is because your deeper field is still carrying what was never expressed. The body responds not to what you say, but to what you vibrate. Imagine your field as a ring of energy circling you. This ring carries not only what you feel now, but everything you have avoided, every anger never expressed, every word swallowed, every sadness buried. Over time, this becomes dense, forming an invisible prison. You feel stuck. You feel heavy. No matter how much you try to move forward, something pulls you back. That something is the vibrational version of you that still carries what was never released. Tej called this the vibrational ring. It is not physical, but it is real. It drains energy, repeats patterns, blocks healings that should already be complete. And it is not formed only by great traumas. It is also created by the small ignored wounds, the tiny silences, the daily compromises, the smile you forced when you wanted to cry, the truth you buried to keep peace, the grief you swallowed with logic. Each of these left its mark, and together they became the ring. But Tej never saw this as punishment. He saw it as invitation, because every vibrational ring, no matter how dense, can be broken, not with force, but with awareness. The instant you stop running from your emotions, the instant you look directly at what you feel, the ring begins to dissolve. Awareness is the key. To turn inward, to allow the stuck energy to have a voice, to let the frozen feeling finally be acknowledged. That is the act that breaks the prison. It does not require ritual from outside you. It does not need a chant or a spell. It happens within, in the center of your field. Tej said every vibrational prison continues because, in some hidden way, a part of you consents to it. That is why true healing begins with choice. A silent, soul-level decision. It is like saying enough, not with words, but with your whole being. That choice shifts the field. It reverses the old command. It reclaims your authority. Tej called this the vibrational reversal of command. The moment when your soul takes back power, when your true self overrides the inherited codes, when you stop living trapped in vibrations that never belonged to you. And this is the moment when everything begins to change. Healing begins not when every problem is solved, but when your inner field, the invisible energy that holds your patterns, emotions, and memories, shifts direction. For so long, this field has been like a passive receiver, quietly carrying old inherited commands, replaying the automatic programming of family, society, and ancestry. It has been repeating what is not yours as though it belonged to you. But there comes a moment when the field stops only receiving and begins to emit something new. In that moment, a fresh vibration is born. And it is this vibration that breaks the old ring of repetition. This is the real beginning of self-healing. Not because every wound is instantly erased, but because a space finally opens for release. In that space, energy that was stuck begins to move again, and regeneration becomes possible. What brings this change is not a dramatic external ritual, but a simple gesture, a quiet but powerful act of anchoring vibration inside yourself. Ancient fragments describe this gesture symbolically as a key that the field recognizes, a code that opens what has long been closed. You can experience this shift by closing your eyes and taking 3 unforced breaths, letting air flow in and out naturally. Then place your hand gently on the center of your chest. Do not press. Simply touch with awareness. Feel the warmth of your own hand meeting the energy of your heart. This point is the command center of your field. From here, speak with steady intention. I no longer repeat what isn't mine. I release it now. These words are not only sounds, they are a vibrational command. They act like a code that breaks loops of repetition, sending new instructions into the field. When spoken with presence, they dissolve inherited records, unconscious bonds, and crystallized emotions that had kept you stuck. But words without truth do not move energy. If repeated mechanically, nothing shifts. The field listens only to what is real. When every word rises from your center rather than only your mouth, the phrase becomes a force of liberation. In that instant, You step out of the role of prisoner of invisible patterns and step into sovereignty, becoming creator of your own frequency. At first, the shift may feel like nothing more than a crack, a tiny opening, but that subtle crack is powerful. Through it, energy begins to flow where before it was blocked. And within that opening lies a symbol that has always held the frequency of self-healing, the Ankh. You have seen it, a cross with a loop at the top. Many wear it as decoration, but its true meaning has been forgotten. The Ankh was known in the mystery schools of Egypt as the key of life. It was never only an object. It was, and is a living geometry of balance. The loop represents eternity, the subtle eternal spirit, the invisible field. The vertical shaft represents the descent of consciousness from the heavens into the body. The horizontal bar represents the material plane, the world of form and experience. At the crossing point of the vertical and horizontal, spirit meets matter, and it is at this sacred intersection that reorganization begins. The Ankh is not external. It is not something to hold or hang on a wall. It is a frequency built into every being. When your field aligns, this geometry lights up, allowing energy to move in the complete cycle it was meant to follow, from spirit into body, and from body back into spirit. Many healings do not happen because the energy flows in only one direction. The Ankh restores the full flow, a circulation that brings renewal and rebirth. To awaken the Ankh within, sit with your spine straight yet relaxed, feet grounded. Close your eyes and bring awareness to the top of your head, as though a soft pulse is beginning there. Imagine a golden spiral above you, spinning counterclockwise, creating an opening for light to descend. Let it move down through the center of your head, between your brows, and into your chest. There it gathers as a warm, glowing sphere. From this center, see or feel the energy expand sideways, opening into a perfect horizontal line like wings stretching across your chest. This is the bar of the Ankh alive within you. You may sense warm tingling or expansion. Let the spiral continue downward, through your stomach, down your spine, until it reaches the ground and anchors there. This is the vertical shaft, the grounding into earth, with the loop above, the bar across your chest, and the shaft anchored below. The geometry is complete. You are the Ankh. You become the living connection between heaven and earth, spirit and matter, intention and manifestation. This is not an imagined drawing, but the reactivation of a frequency your soul already knows. When this practice is sustained for 3 days with sincerity and calm breathing, the field begins to change vibration. Nothing external is needed. No special tools, no rare herbs, no ancient objects hidden in the desert. Regeneration arises from within. Thoth, the ancient teacher, spoke of this current as entropia, the opposite of chaos. While entropy breaks things apart, centropia rebuilds harmony. It begins in the field and only later appears in matter. To step into this current, 3 vibrational states must be aligned. The first is unconditional love, not the kind of love that demands or expects, but the kind that flows without condition. This love is not merely emotion, but a field that softens resistance, calms the nervous system, and dissolves the weight of memory. The second is silence, not a silence that suppresses or hides, but a silence that listens and allows. In such presence, the field returns to neutrality, and in neutrality, regeneration begins. The third is presence without anxiety, not trying to rush, correct, or anticipate, but trusting the now as complete. This presence stabilizes the field, and stability allows energy to move with intelligence. When these three states are held together, even briefly, coherence appears. A crystalline vibration begins to radiate silently from the core outward. This cannot be forced or faked. It can only arise in truth. And when it does, ancient blockages, illnesses, and heavy patterns dissolve like shadows before light. Thoth said such frequency is like light passing through matter without resistance because it carries no weight. It carries alignment. That is why many who enter this state report sudden healing, relief, clarity, and freedom. The field does not need time. It needs vibration. The Ankh was never meant to be searched for outside. It was placed within as a living symbol, a reminder that true healing is the meeting point of spirit and matter. It is a geometry waiting to awaken when your field opens. And when it does, energy flows in both directions again. In that flow lies regeneration, balance, and the return to the integrity of being. The mystery has always been simple. The key of life is not an object you hold. It is a frequency you embody. When your energy finds true balance, when coherence begins to settle into your body and your field, nothing dramatic is required. It only needs space. Space for the vibration to move, space for the body to release, space for the soul to remember. And now that the three pillars of activation are revealed, you begin to understand what really happens when this rare frequency is sustained for more than 3 days in a row. This is the threshold where conventional medicine still declares limits, still uses the word incurable, because what begins here is not measurable by their tools. It is at this exact point, when the frequency not only enters but stabilizes, that something extraordinary takes place. Not in the form of fireworks, not in sudden bursts of emotion, but in silence. The reordering begins without noise, as if the field once broken and fragmented begins to weave itself together again. Cell by cell, atom by atom, memory by memory, what was scattered begins to align. A new harmony, impossible until now, suddenly receives permission to exist, and your body, this sacred temple of consciousness, answers first. It does not start in the obvious places. It begins in the forgotten corners, in the hidden rooms, in the spaces that never had your attention, because illness is not only the result of your thoughts, but also of the gaps between them. It is in those empty spaces that the heaviest imprints of pain and suppression hide. And it is in those same spaces that healing begins to vibrate once the field reorders. What was asleep stirs awake. What was frozen starts to melt. What was trapped finally begins to move. Warmth rises at the base of your spine, flowing upwards through your chest, sometimes reaching the throat and even the crown of your head. But it is not fever. It is not anxiety. It is activation. The subtle energy that was compressed and buried under density finds its path to circulate again. That warmth is life force in motion, no longer stagnant but flowing like a river that has broken through old dams and found its natural course again. You may feel this in delicate ways. A tingling in the fingertips or soles of the feet, a spark behind the neck, as if tiny electrical currents are reawakening. These are the pathways of the energy body, the meridians, the nadis, the hidden memory lines, unblocking, breathing again. For others, the process moves through emotion, sudden floods of sadness with tears pouring, anger rising fiercely without explanation, an overwhelming urge to cry even when everything seems fine. But all of it is fine, because what is surfacing is not regression, it is release. It is memory unraveling. It is pain dissolving. The subtle body remembers more than your conscious mind could ever recall. It holds every word you swallowed, every feeling you hid, every wound endured in silence, every moment you thought you overcame simply because you stopped speaking about it. Nothing disappears simply by forgetting. Every unspoken truth transforms into vibration. It lingers as silent pulses in the field, repeating until the moment you are finally ready to let them go. And now that moment has come. The mind, trained to control, resists. It tries to understand, to question, to call it relapse, to ask, am I returning to the beginning? But true release is not linear. It does not follow a neat script. It is organic, chaotic, alive, like nature itself. It makes its own order in what looks like disorder. The body does not ask for explanations. It asks only for freedom. And freedom requires nothing but allowing. Allowing does not mean doing. It means permitting. It means not resisting the tremors of truth. When you notice the warmth rising, the shivers coming, the yawns and sighs, the tears falling without cause, you simply breathe. These are not weakness. These are not signs of failure. These are signs that healing is happening. This is not relapse. It is the unprogramming of the old frequencies that no longer belong to you. Thoth once said, regeneration is never born in shouting, but in the silent stream. The body healed is like a river, strong not by force, but by continuity. It does not prove its strength by noise. It proves it by never ceasing to flow. That is the flow you are entering now, where density dissolves, where codes inherited lose their hold, where patterns that repeated for lifetimes no longer command your vibration. You do not have to force this flow. You do not need to strain to hold it. You simply must not interrupt it. Do not rationalize what is surfacing. Do not label the sensations. Do not judge what is leaving. Everything that emerges now is exactly what always needed to be released. And it is at this fragile, sacred threshold that something even rarer opens. An energetic fissure forms, a vibrational gap between the collapse of the old and the stabilization of the new. It is not random. It is not guaranteed. It is rare. And within this gap lies a window, a short span of time where the field is ready to be rewritten. If you miss it, the fissure closes, and the field slowly returns to its old state. This is why Thoth left instructions, not carved in stone but whispered from soul to soul. A ritual preserved not in books, but in silence. It can only be done at two sacred times, sunrise and sunset, the moments when Earth itself shifts frequencies. Dawn before the world's noise begins. Dusk as the planet slides back into neutrality. These are the portals where the ritual is strongest. The ritual unfolds in three stages. The first is breathing, not unconscious, but deliberate, patterned. Square breathing, 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, 4 seconds exhale, 4 seconds empty, for 4 minutes. No more, no less. 4 is not chance. 4 is the number of manifestation, the 4 directions, the 4 elements, the 4 moon phases, the 4 bodies: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. 4 anchors what is subtle into the physical world. Each cycle of breath draws geometry into your field, engraving stability into the invisible. The second stage is the declaration. This is not prayer. It is not begging. It is command. It is sovereignty spoken into the field. The words are simple. May everything that is not mine return to nothingness. They must be spoken aloud, not with volume but with conviction. These words break invisible contracts, agreements made without your awareness. They dissolve inherited burdens, family weights, emotional codes that were never yours. They send them back to the void where they belong. The third stage is anchoring. You close your eyes, bring your focus into your chest, and see the Ankh appear there. It may come as light, as gold, as symbol, as breath itself. The form does not matter. The intention does. The Ankh was never just a drawing. It was a vibrational key of regeneration. See it pulsing with your inhale, spinning with your exhale, dark threads untying themselves from its center. Pieces of old identity release. You do not need to see clearly. You do not need to understand what is leaving. Trust is enough. This ritual must be done for 3 days in a row, at the same time, without distraction, without rush, without interruption. The first day may feel faint, the second day still subtle, but by the third, the field responds like an instrument tuned into resonance. And on the 4th day, something irreversible shifts. The fissure becomes portal. The field sends you the signal, not in words, not in thought, but in the undeniable language of body and soul. Something has been released. Something has been rewritten. You may feel it as a forgotten gear turning again within you. It is not magic. It is not coincidence. It is vibration. A new architecture begins governing your inner world. The body stops obeying the old logic of fear and pain. It surrenders to a deeper intelligence. Old pains that were with you for years suddenly lose their grip, sometimes vanish entirely. Not by pills, not by effort, but by the collapse of the frequency that sustained them. In their absence comes a strange lightness, as if a weight you did not even know you carried has slipped away. This is the first undeniable proof that the field has shifted. But the body is not done. Emotions stored long ago rise to leave. They are not returning to haunt you. They are surfacing to be released. Old sadness, ancient anger, hidden shame. They come not like avalanches, but like shadows waving goodbye. This is purification. Just as you cannot pour pure water into a cup full of mud, your field cannot stabilize new frequency without emptying the residue first. This is the vibrational return, the final release of what has no space in your new coherence. Every person feels it differently. Some cry suddenly, others laugh uncontrollably, others crave silence, solitude, or nature. These are not random impulses. They are the body reorganizing itself, recalibrating the energy. Do not resist. Do not try to explain. Do not think you are regressing. This is not regression. This is completion. This is the unlocking of chambers that were sealed within you. At this point, you are ready to install a new vibrational identity. Not an identity created by thought, not roles given by society, not labels imposed by others, This is an identity written in vibration, recognized by the universe itself. It is not about becoming someone new. It is about vibrating as who you truly are. It is presence, pure and silent, undeniable. Old patterns no longer find resonance. Old trauma no longer finds a home. Old disease no longer finds soil to grow roots. This is why you seal the moment with words that are not just phrases but codes. I vibrate in the original state. I am not what hurt me. I am what survived. These words are vibrational commands. They cancel invisible contracts. They anchor new sovereignty. They declare your survival as the axis of your being. From here, healing stops being process and becomes state. You no longer chase it. You are it. The field stabilizes. The vibration holds. And then comes the rarest state, the one the ancients called spontaneous regeneration. Not miracle, not luck, but the natural result of coherence sustained. Disease, Thoth said, is the echo of disorder. When the field is coherent, the echo dissolves. The architecture of distortion collapses. Cells reorganize. Tissues realign. Systems harmonize. The body remembers how to live instead of how to survive. The liver remembers. The heart responds. The brain collaborates. Each part of the temple plays its note in the symphony of truth. But this is not the end. Healing must be maintained. Coherence must be sustained. Daily breath, words aligned with truth, silence honored, beauty absorbed, gratitude spoken. Shielding your field, not with walls, but with intelligence. Choosing carefully what enters, letting in what nourishes, rejecting what depletes. Listening to the body's radar when it whispers through tightening chests, shortened breaths, restless minds. Trusting those whispers. Walking away from what breaks your vibration. Speaking aloud the codes that reinforce your sovereignty. Nothing external can undo what is already aligned. What vibrates in me protects me. I am shielded by the truth that lives in me. When coherence holds, healing grows, and then it begins to overflow. Without you trying, your presence changes rooms. Conflicts dissolve before they spark. Eyes soften. People breathe easier. The field speaks louder than words. Your healing begins to touch others. Because, as Thoth said, a cycle only closes when it expands. True healing cannot end in you. It spreads. It moves. It transmits. You carry it now as seed, as vibration, as silent gift, and you affirm it in words that anchor your truth. I reactivated my field. The healing already lives in me.